Happy Friday, everybody. May 19th, Friday, the Don Mafia Show, Don Mafia Live. Live every single Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. EST. Thank you so much for joining me on, I'm not really sure how it is where everybody that is tuning in is, but I'm experiencing quite a gloomy day. It's still muggy as hell, muggy as shit. I live in South Carolina, right? I was born in Buffalo, moved to South Carolina when I was just 13 years old. And I wish the sunlight was out, man. I mean, this could have been a nice beach day. It really could have been. But you know what? It doesn't matter because I'm right here. I'm right here with the audience Monday through Friday. So make sure that you mark your calendars, you turn on those notifications, and you keep it going. Chris Fowler is coming in saying, "What's up?" Dude, hey, man, not a lot. Not a lot. Sitting here just trying to draw my coffee a little bit. Once this show is over, I'm probably going to go get a workout in a little bit. And then I am doing a Buffalo Bills happy hour live stream. Very first one. Later today at 4:30. I'm going to make it a tradition. We're going to be talking a little bit about what we want to see during OTAs, what we want to do, whatever. Crack a couple of beers with the Don Mafia. Who knows what's going on? It's good to see everybody. It's very, very good to see everybody. Cameron saying what's up. And then he's trying to predict exactly what this episode is going to be about. And I'll tell you what, this episode, I might ruffle a few feathers on this one. I, without a doubt, might. There's a couple of teams last year that made the playoffs where I just think that the competition outside of their division and their conference has gotten too much, and they're just going to miss out on the playoffs. He is making a couple of suggestions saying that the Dolphins, Giants, and the Buccaneers will most likely not make the playoffs this upcoming season. Cameron going on ahead and spitting those facts. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new here, make sure to smash that subscribe button, hit your like button on the way in, and enjoy the ride right before we end up getting into the show. Right before we do, I need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, which so happens to be the Manta Sleep Mask. As many of you know, and I'm sure many of you can relate, I have a very difficult time going to sleep. All right, I'm tossing and turning. I really can't get into that deep sleep. And like I said, I typically need to down about 2 or 3 of these bad boys just to get my day started, especially being productive in any way, shape, or imagination. This Manta Sleep Mask, it's comfortable, it's sleek, it doesn't crush your eyes, and it really allows zero light to get in. I mean, honestly, ever since I've been using this for the past month or two, especially with naps, naps is just game-changing. This thing allows me to really get that deep sleep. Power naps are even more powerful afterwards. It's absolutely amazing, and I highly, highly, highly recommend that you check it out. That link is in my description. Use code DONMAFIA, or just use my link for an extra 10% off. You cannot miss out on that. Dick J is coming in. What's up, brother? Hope all is good. Hope all is good. Hope all is good. Happy Friday. I know everybody is absolutely excited. So like I said, there's been a couple of teams last year that made the playoffs. Some of them I think may come off as like a dud, and we knew that going into it. But some of them might actually surprise you going on into the rest of this episode. I put together 4 teams where I think they have zero chance of making the playoffs this year. I really do. And without further ado, let's go ahead and just start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, I feel like that this just goes without saying at this point. The NFC South is the worst division in football. It's going to be. So I could be wrong. At the end of the day, it's a roll of the dice of who is going to win that division. I can go on ahead and just put my life on it that there will not be a single wild card team that comes from this division. It's going to be the sole winner of that division, and I would be surprised if that team is a game or two over 500. So it's going to be a crapshoot. But if I had to pick a loser on that division who is definitely not going to make the playoffs, it's hands down the Buccaneers. Tom Brady is gone. You have Baker Mayfield under center. He's probably going to be benched by week 4 and replaced by Kyle Trask. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. And there's no way that this team is making the playoffs. I just don't see it. If I had to guess, I think the Saints are going to win that division because they just have the best quarterback. Like at this point, I think with Bryce Young, he's young, no pun intended. He's a rookie. It's going to take some time for him to really get into the groove of the NFL. He's very short. You have Desmond Ridder, right, for the Atlanta Falcons, or maybe it's Taylor Heineke, who knows, is going to be starting for that team. But I just don't see the Buccaneers being able to make this happen. I really, really don't. This is the first team on my list of just teams that I see completely missing the playoffs. Keith and Suzanne, it's been a while. Nice to see you guys. We are just starting to get over the playoff loss. We never want the Bills to play in Miami's heat chamber of death again. Keith and Suzanne, let me tell you what. I think that this schedule played out for us beautifully, not only for the Bills, but also for the Dolphins, because we don't go to Miami until January 6th, which is still going to be comfortable. I mean, that would be a game that I've been eyeing that I would love to attend, because, I mean, who doesn't want to go to Miami in January? And then the Dolphins also lucked out, in my opinion, for seeing us in October, right? So like the first day of October, it might be a little brisk, but it's going to be nowhere near as bad or wintry. I really hope that death chamber is far away, but let's just relish in the fact that we don't need to be in Miami in the months of September or October. I think that that's going to be absolutely great. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Definitely have missed you. Okay, so the Buccaneers, like I said, first team on my list right now that I see completely wafting on the playoffs. Now, oh man, I might ruffle some feathers, especially for people that are tuning in on the later half of the day, the Miami Dolphins. I have the Miami Dolphins missing the playoffs next year. Now, first off, I do want to preface this by saying I am in no way, shape, or form saying that this is not a good team. They are a good team. They have a great defense, which Jalen Ramsey is going to make them even better. I'm very excited to see what Javon Holland can do. I'm very excited to see what Vic Fangio can do with that defense. I mean, obviously, they're very fast on offense as well with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They don't have a tight end at all anymore. They have a terrible offensive line. Their run game is subpar. We'll see if Dalvin Cook goes to Miami. We'll see what's going on. And their quarterback, in my opinion, is the third best right in the division, right behind Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. I think that this team and I think that this division is just way too stacked, and conference for that matter, is just to where there's not going to be three teams that make it from the AFC East. For a while, I was getting high on that idea. I was getting high on the idea that, hey, this could be a possibility that the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins make the playoffs this upcoming season. But you have the AFC North, okay? Bengals, Ravens, and Browns. Nobody's talking about the Browns. This year. They had a very good offseason. And now you have Deshaun Watson coming back as well, who has a full offseason to recover, has training camp, right? And actually has time to get reps in. If you think Deshaun Watson is completely out of this picture, you're crazy. There's no in between. And then you also have the AFC West, right? The Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Yes, I do see the Broncos having a bounce back year with Sean Payton as their head coach. And I also see Russell Wilson having somewhat of a bounce back year as well. This conference is too stacked. And there's not going to be a division that has 3 wild cards. I just don't see it happening. So with that case, I see the Miami Dolphins missing the playoffs this year. It's just way too stacked of a division. And when it comes down into it, I think your most 2 important position groups, which is a quarterback and offensive line, I feel like you can't even convince me otherwise. The two most important position groups on an NFL team is the quarterback position and the offensive line. And those 2 are the weakest on the Miami Dolphins. I have the Dolphins being the second team that misses the playoffs. Okay. Now, like I said, the only team on this list was the team that we ended up looking over last time, which is the Buccaneers. That's the only trash team that made the playoffs this past year, right? And that I know are not going to make it this year. The Dolphins, like I said, good team, but you were just dealt a crappy hand for being in the AFC. And there's 3 divisions that are absolutely very, very good, right? That have at least 2 to 3 teams that could potentially make playoffs. You could prove me wrong. I just don't see it happening. I'm sorry. All right. Now, number 3, Be More Ravens Jr. What's up, man? What's up, man? Oh, man, you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me, bro. I got the Minnesota Vikings being the next team that does not make the playoffs last year. Don't get me wrong. I thought that they were fun to watch. I thought that they ended up escaping a lot of games last year, and they just made the right play at the right time, which at the end of the day, I can't knock because that's what good teams do. Good teams find a way to win. They really do, right? But Dalvin Cook's going to be gone. I'm not the biggest believer of Kirk Cousins. I love Justin Jefferson. I think their defense, losing Zadarius Smith right over to the Browns, I think this team is going to take a massive – I think this team is going to make a massive, massive step back. I think this is the Detroit Lions division. I really think that the NFC North is the Detroit Lions division this year. The Packers aren't even sniffing first place or the playoffs. They weren't even rolling through my mind of being a possibility at this point. And then with the Bears are the most overhyped 4-win team I think I have ever witnessed in my entire life. But I see the Vikings missing the playoffs this year. They won last year, but they are going to miss out. I think the Lions are just going to absolutely run away with it. And then when you have the NFC East and the NFC West as well, I think those teams are going to eat up the wild cards like they did last year. So completely gone. And then last but not least, oh, man. And so I see a Ravens fan in here already. He's going to be mad at me. I have the Baltimore Ravens missing the playoffs this year. I do. This is a hot take. And like I said, don't think for any stretch of the imagination that I am saying the Ravens are bad. This year in the AFC playoffs, the 7th seed will have 11 wins. Mark my words. The 7th seed will have 11 wins, 10 to 11 wins. There will be 3 teams that miss the playoffs this year that have 10 wins. Normally, that should be a ticket right into the playoffs. It's the Baltimore Ravens that are missing the playoffs this year. I really, really see it. I think they're going to have a winning season, 10 wins, but the Bengals are 1,000% winning, right? I know the Bengals lost out on their defense a little bit, especially when it comes down into like safeties. Not quite as dynamic as they were last year from a secondary perspective, but that offense is still absolutely ill. I see you definitely giving them a run for their money right in divisional play. The AFC North just goes on ahead and they beat each other up all year, every year. But I see the Bengals winning the division, and then I see the Cleveland Browns. Taking second place and securing a wild card spot this year. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about the Cleveland Browns actually having a very good offseason this past year. They really don't. You still have Deshaun Watson. I am so excited to see what Deshaun Watson can do with actual reps, because he didn't get going until 2 or 3 games after his suspension. And he looked good those last games. You still have Nick Chubb, great offensive line. You have Myles Garrett. Now you have Zadarius Smith as well on that pass rush. Everyone's sleeping on the Browns. Everybody is, dude. This is a second-place team. This is a playoff team for the AFC. The Ravens, I just see you guys. I see you losing, man. I see you missing the playoffs. I really do. I'm glad that you got Lamar in. I love that. But I just feel like that everyone's so high on OBJ. Does he even have a knee? Does he even have an ACL anymore? Like, is he going to be the same? Reports were coming out that he was playing literally without a knee during that Super Bowl year with the Rams. I like Bateman. Good receiver, I guess, but then you're also relying on a rookie in Zay Flowers. Mark Andrews, who's a stud, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I have the Browns and I have the Bengals representing the AFC North this year. I really do. It's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough. Those are my 4 teams right then and there of who I believe are not going to make the playoffs. Let's go ahead and hit the chat for a little bit. On this 11 a.m. show. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. EST. Dean, a Miami Dolphins fan, saying, yeah, right, bud. Listen, bro. Like I said, I have no disrespect toward the Dolphins. They got better this year. They did. But rest of the division's conference, rather, is competitive. It's very competitive. And the thing is that, and so your quarterback is going to screw you. And so your offensive line and your quarterback is going to screw you at the end of the day. That's 1,010% of what's going to be the Dolphins' demise this year is your offensive line and your quarterback. The Dolphins don't have a quarterback. Glass Tua won't ever get anywhere. I mean, honestly, if the Dolphins would address their damn offensive line, I think things might be a little different on their end, right? Like, why don't you? If you're so concerned about Tua playing a full 17, like, dude, make some investments into your damn offensive line. Like, what the hell was the point of getting Ramsey? Like, what the hell was the point of getting Jalen Ramsey when you could have went out and just got like an absolute incredible guard or tackle? Like, yeah, like it's not going to make your fan base flip out like it did when you got Ramsey, but I just don't understand why they didn't. I don't even know. We will still beat you guys with Mike White if Tua goes down. I'm a big Mike White guy. I'm a big Mike White guy. But I think that he's scared of Matt Milano, though. I think that's the thing. My service sucks out here in the desert of Utah. I'm listening, bro. King Jamie the Mad, I appreciate you, man. Listen, I just ended up going through all the teams I think that are missing the playoffs this year. So I had the Ravens missing the playoffs. I had the Vikings missing the playoffs, the Dolphins missing the playoffs, and the Buccaneers missing the playoffs. So it's a little controversial from some of the people that we have here, but we'll see what's going on. Roberto is coming in saying that I'm a Dolphins fan and them not really addressing the offensive line is annoying. Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, I think that was my biggest head scratcher. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like an acquisition of a big name, right? Like Jalen Ramsey is going to get the fans excited. It's going to sell tickets. But why aren't you trying to protect your quarterback, right? I feel like you guys probably would have like had a higher seed last year in the playoffs if Tua was available for some of those games going into it, right? We'll see what's going on. We will see what is going on. Happy Friday, everybody. Super, super excited to see everyone chill, hang out, and do your thing. Mike Green's coming in and saying, I see the Vikings making the playoffs. The NFC is weak. It really is, man. My thing is that you have the NFC East, right? So I could 1,000% see the same thing from last year, where I could see the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles making it from there. So that's 2 wild card spots like eaten up. But then I also see the Niners and the Seahawks making the playoffs again. So that's that final wild card spot right there. And then I see the Lions for the division winner. And then for the NFC South, flip a coin. Like, who the hell knows what team is going to make the playoffs from there, right? Like, I don't know. So that's why I think the Vikings are just going to take a step back. Now that Dalvin Cook is gone, I think Kirk Cousins is slowly but surely in like the twilight of his career at this point. So I really don't know. Let's see. King Jamie the Bad, the Chiefs live and die by the offensive line. In a 17-game season, you need to bolster up that O-line. Absolutely. It's the offensive line and is the quarterback position, I think, are the most two important position groups in the entire league for a team, rather. It's something that's equally frustrating for just about anybody that can go into it. But yeah, who knows? Guys, listen, thank you so much for tuning in. I see several of you always in here at 11 a.m. EST. As you know, I am a Buffalo Bills YouTuber, but I am slowly but surely also trying to include a bunch of other NFL content because now that this is my full-time opportunity, I want to expand and explore my creativity, if you will. So thank you so much for tuning in and being a supporter of the 11 a.m. show. I am actually doing the very first Buffalo Bills or Bills Mafia happy hour. I'm going to be doing it every single Friday at 4:30 p.m. EST. Today's topic is going to be things that I want to see from Bills OTAs, which are starting literally in 2 days. So it's going to be a really cool conversation. I'm going to do like a live Q&A, hang out. Feel free to bring wine, beer, whatever, crack it. Let's hang out for this Friday right before we go off on our merry way. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And if you want to join the happy hour, I will be there. See you later. Deuces.